Hello and welcome back to Unabashed You, Rick. It's so good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back. That's a treat to have me back. I didn't think you would after the last.
No,
I'm
of
just
course, of
kidding.
course. And listener, let me know. I was sort of in this little pinch schedule wise, and I reached out to Rick, and he's like, yes, I will do that. And what's so great is that Rick and I have done life together in parallel ways for
Yep,
years. We actually
yep.
went to high school together. So we go back, oh, just a few days,
Just a few years.
just a few years. Yeah, just a few
Yeah,
years. All
and
right.
you haven't changed a bit.
Oh my gosh, you need glasses. So you've got glasses on. Okay. Oh, that's so funny and so sweet. Thank you, Rick. All right. We are going to get to know you. I love this because I'm going to get to know you even a little bit more than I already do. Is there anything you want the listeners to know as we get started here?
Wow. Um, yeah, a couple of things.
Okay.
Like you said, we go back. We won't say how long, but a long, 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 long time. And you may not remember this, and so I might embarrass you a little bit, but
I don't mind.
uh, I went uh, I went to Mission Bay High School,
Right.
and I didn't know a soul. I didn't know anybody, and I got there, and I remember seeing, you know, a lot of pretty girls, and I remember, okay, this was probably a good choice. But then you were very sweet to me. At first I was a little nervous to meet anybody, but you were one of the people that made me feel like I made the right choice. So thank you for
Oh,
that. And
oh,
then I still remember that over all of these years. So thank you for that.
oh, that
Yeah.
that just makes me feel, God, so good to think that at that young age when you think you know all the things and you think you're all grown up and then later and many years later you're like, no, I wasn't at all. It's nice to know that I was warm and friendly.
Yes.
That's a good thing. I like that.
And you were so cute, it was a little intimidating for me to even talk to you back then, but
Oh, that's
you
so
were very sweet.
sweet.
So now we live in Mission Viejo, California, just
Uh-huh.
about an hour north of you, and married. This will be our 40th anniversary this
Oh,
year, believe it or not. And
wow.
we have a beautiful family. We have actually four children. We have Ryan and Alexandra, who are married and live in Irvine, and Avery and Bo that are married and live in Arizona. And then we have Matthew that passed away when he was 3 days old, and we
Hmm.
lost another baby just after Matthew as well. So sometimes that's a difficult question to answer for folks like us. How many kids do you have? But on this, because of our life that we've done together, it's easy to talk about that. So
Right. And listeners, especially those of you who've listened to a lot of the episodes, Rick and Karen's son had the very same heart defect that Ron's and my son had, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which is not something you hear about every day.
right.
It's a little more on the unusual side. And that is actually what brought us back together after some years of kind of
Mhm.
going off on different paths. And it's a moment for me to marvel at the way God works. Even though that was a
Right,
hard thing, so many good things came from it. And
right.
you guys are definitely having you back in our lives was one of the high points for sure. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, got a lot of kids and married in kids, and maybe one day grandkids. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll
We were
see.
told not to ask, so
That's a good one. That's good.
we're not.
That's good. Well, you'll know if and when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
so sweet. Okay, so I've had a fun time putting these questions together for our It's Raining Men series. What do they really think? So, what is a skill you'd like to have that you don't have right now?
I don't know how to fix anything. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and so I am not allowed around any tool that spins or is sharp at all. There's some fear from my family about that. So I would like to figure out, how to fix things, be a little more handy around the house, but That's not going to happen anytime soon. So Karen is the one that has everything in place, and
Oh my
she'll take
gosh.
care of it. Yeah, and it's
So,
fine.
so she's the handy man, handy person around the house.
Yeah, yes, she is.
Now, will we say, based on what you've just said, which of course I find amusing, that you're maybe a little accident prone? Is that part?
Oh, I can be. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so I'm wondering why they don't want you around anything, and if that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, and also my brain just doesn't work the way that to figure things out. It doesn't think that way,
It's
I
not a
guess. So
natural way to go.
no, no,
Okay. Yeah.
it's not. So quick funny story, when the kids were pretty young, we were living around the corner and um Karen was off doing something and I had to go up into the attic to grab some stuff. The kids were asleep and I accidentally stepped between the rafters and I
Oh
so
gosh.
from my chest up, I was in the attic and my legs were dangling in the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
So, things like that tend to happen to me. So, yeah.
Oh,
So that's part of the reason for sure.
and clearly you got out.
Yeah. Now, as you know, I was an athlete and
Right.
played baseball and did very well and all that stuff. So when it comes to that type of stuff, I'm okay. But when it comes to fixing things around the house, I'm manual labor around the house.
Okay.
I'll
All
dig
right.
holes and do all that stuff. But as far as the actual figuring out how things work, that's a skill I would love to have, and I don't.
Okay. And that is a good skill. It's a useful skill. Okay. So moving on, are you a breakfast person?
Absolutely, I've got to have breakfast. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. And don't you find it interesting that, well, one, kind of the sort of eating fads that have been throughout our lives, right? And then now that more, maybe 5 years ago or so, the fad of skipping breakfast and seeing how many hours, this optimal amount of hours to go.
yeah.
I forget what it's even called. But
I
anyway,
think it's fasting diet or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Intermittent fasting. That's the
That's
word.
it.
There it is. Okay.
That's it.
And I'm with you. I've got to have breakfast. I
Yeah,
mean, because it's already built in the word. You're breaking the fast.
that's right. Good. That's absolutely right. Yeah. And if I don't have it, I get grumpy. So I don't want to be grumpy. Yeah,
Yes.
gotta
You
have
get a little
something.
hangry, that little
Yes.
hangry.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Is
Yep.
there a certain go-to breakfast or is it a variety depending on your day?
Well, I usually make my own little concoction at home with some eggs and throw some stuff in there and
Okay.
scoop it up and go. When we go out, there's a place that's not too far from us that's Hawaiian, and I like me some loco moco a lot. It's very very good, but it's a treat. But that's when we go out to Stacks. That's what I'll get every time. So
Oh,
yeah, so it depends, you know.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
yeah.
All right. A random fact most people would not know about you.
Random fact, that I don't know how to fix a doggone thing. I don't know a random
Well,
fact because
that's a random fact.
I'm a pretty open book. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
shy, right?
Right.
So yeah, so that might yeah, I may have to come back to that one. I did,
Yeah.
yeah, I may have to come back to
Yeah.
that.
And the fact that you can't, as somebody who knows you, I would think I would not know this about you, the machinery aspect, sharp
Yeah,
and whirling and all of that. Okay, now this I know is going to be interesting. So growing up,
yeah.
because I remember our generation
Uh-huh.
watching certain TV shows or certain movies, you just like, oh, you just related to this character. Oh, I want to be like them when I grow up. Who was that for you?
Well, my first thought was kind of like a James Bond 007 type of guy, right? But, he has to fix things along the way, so that I couldn't have done that. Uh,
A lot of
uh,
machinery involved.
yeah, yeah, no, I'm just playing with you. I think, growing up, I was such a baseball guy, that, I think about we watched TV and we did all that stuff, but things around sports and especially baseball players and that type of stuff would be
Okay.
probably who I wanted to be like. As far as a movie star, we didn't really go to a lot of movies,
Well, and I was thinking maybe like TV shows. Like for me, I instantly think of the Mod Squad and
oh,
how I
sure.
wanted to be Julie. I just thought she was
Sure.
so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see here.
Well, no, you baseball.
Yeah,
That works. That totally works.
yeah. Okay, we'll stick with that one for now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, Rick, as you
yeah,
know, we're in a It's Raining Men series. What do
yeah.
they really think?
Hmm.
Now, regardless of your sexuality, and you've told us you're married to a woman, I
Hmm.
wanted to find out more about men and sort of some of the things they think by going straight to the source. So
Hmm.
let's have a conversation around that. Who did you look up to growing up?
Well, obviously I'm going to say my dad.
Wonderful.
My dad worked full time for San Diego Gas and Electric. He also worked part time for 32 years
Oh,
at the Sears store in Hillcrest, putting in batteries into cars. And he did that after he came home from work about 2 or 3 days a week. And he started that when my oldest sister was born, so he could take care of the family. So I always respected that and looked up to him and how he really invested in his neighborhood, and he coached baseball and was just involved in the community in a lot of different ways. Do you remember in Balboa Park the Christmas tree that was lit, the real big giant Christmas tree that was lit for years and
yes.
years? Yeah,
Yes.
that was my dad's doing.
Oh
And
my
it got that whole thing
gosh.
set up and a great memory. And this was just after, it was the same year he had passed away. Um, Karen and I and the kids were there in front of that tree, and there was this couple with their little girl standing there looking at the tree, and I just got choked up. And
Oh,
and he happened to turn around and he said, isn't this tree amazing? And I said, yeah, it is. And I told him the story, and
oh,
it's yeah. So dad for sure, mom too. I don't want to leave mom out because mom, the house she grew up in is still on Reed Street in PB,
wow.
and and she went to Point Loma. My dad went to La Jolla, but my mom went to Point Loma, and they grew up together. Their
Mm,
families knew each other, and she made it to through high school, and then she went into the Navy, and she raised us. She met my dad, and they were married for 60 years. And my mom was just amazing. She
mm.
took us everywhere. She didn't drive for a long time. We would ride the bus out to wherever to go to the doctors and all that stuff. And growing up with 4 kids in a small house and you know not a lot of resources, quite a woman.
Yes. You
Yeah,
make it,
quite.
they made it work. They
They
made it
did.
work.
They figured
Wow.
it out. Yeah, yeah,
That's quite remarkable. I had the pleasure of meeting them both, so I
yeah,
feel really good about that. What
yeah.
do you think, or what currently inspires you? Is there something that currently inspires you? Oh,
Well,
a man that currently inspires you. Can't even read my own writing here. Okay,
yeah.
a man right now that inspires you.
I'm lucky enough to have. I can't point to one
That's
person
fine.
right now, but I'm lucky enough to have men in my life that are people I respect a lot. That I guess you know challenge me in a good way. And
Right,
um, I'm very, very fortunate to have men in my life like that really
right.
truly care about me and my family. So off the top of my head, a individual,
Eh,
it's hard for me to pinpoint that.
yeah, that's fine. And there are never wrong answers here. There just aren't.
Yeah, right,
So it's
right.
just these are meant to springboard us into conversation, really.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've got long-term friends like your husband, and the sincerity of men like Ron is he's a very, very sincere guy, and I know he truly cares about us when we see each other, and
Mhm.
he's one of those examples of somebody that is very interested in what we're doing and how I'm doing, and that's unusual for men because men tend not to reach out to other men, and
Yeah,
so when men do that, that's pretty inspirational for me, and I want to do that for others as well.
right. Oh, thank you. That's
Yeah,
very, very thoughtful and kind, and I agree. I just happen to agree with that.
yeah.
What do you think makes a man a man?
I'm going to go a couple of different routes here.
Sure.
You know, humility is a trait that I find very attractive in people,
Mm-hmm.
and I find it to be important as a man, um, because humility isn't thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking more about others. There's a big difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, a humble man that does look towards the needs of others and when possible can contribute to it could be big, it could be small, it could be um, anything in between. But the act of serving, I think, is really an important quality of a man.
Yes.
Um, I think men can struggle with that as well, for a variety of reasons, a whole lot of different reasons. But I think somebody that's got a heart to serve and help others really describes a man in a good light, somebody that I would aspire to try to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vulnerability, not trying to be, not trying to shut down emotions, but when emotions come up, they're able to express those emotions,
Mm-hmm.
even, even when, um, guys need to cry, sometimes guys just won't because they were told not to when they were young, buck up, be a man, all that type of stuff. Well, being a man is being emotional too,
Right.
in a real, real way, right? And somebody at the same time of being emotional, how do you demonstrate leadership of a family? It is really important too. Everybody gets angry. That's a natural emotion or to have, but being angry isn't the problem. It's what you do with the anger that can create the problem. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of what makes a man is to be able to, think things through before you act.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
And probably the biggest one is, how do you treat a woman? How do you
Mm.
treat your kids? How do you treat somebody that's quote different than you? There's a lot of um, there's a lot of things that we come in contact with as a man, and we have very strong opinions about certain things. But I think at the top of the list is how you treat a woman in
Right.
particular, right? Especially in a marriage is really important.
Mm. Yes. Well, I think everything you said is just fabulous and great qualities for a man to have, obviously for a woman too, but for a man to
Right.
have, because I think in particular, men are told certain things, either directly or indirectly growing up, that kind of shrink or certainly lessen these qualities, humility, serving, vulnerability, how you treat a woman. I mean, those are just not the stereotypical ones that are high on the list, and yet they would make any man a much better person and a better human being to have all of these.
Mhm.
Wow, fabulous.
Mm.
Really fabulous. Okay, what moves you? What moves you?
My family.
Oh.
Um, yeah, my family, my wife, people like you and Ron that are close to me, my faith. Um, those are things that really do move me. I
Mm,
know you've talked to Karen, and um, watching her write her book was very moving for me,
mm.
because she didn't have the confidence to do it, but she had the belief that she could.
Yeah, so
And
great.
man, it was very moving to watch her do that, and it's very moving to see how the book is helping other people. So I think that's important. Um, the other corny thing that moves me, I really love sunsets and I love the ocean. You know, there's a
Mm,
there's a spot here in Orange County that we'd like to go to, and it's just a spot that gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it. I'll figure it out, but it's down in Dana Point, and it's a beautiful look of the ocean,
mm.
perfect sunsets, and we go there on a Friday sometimes and just chill out. We don't have to say a whole heck of a lot. We just like to be here and hang
Right.
out and watch the Salt Creek. There we go. So at this age, the elevator sometimes gets to the 10th floor and not the
Yeah.
11th. It takes a minute to get the 11th. So I
Oh,
got
I
to the
get
11th
that.
floor.
I do
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
But
that.
I think, that moves me for sure. And, again, just being with people I care about is really, really important. So,
Right.
yeah.
What is something, I'm going to say one more thing because you made reference to Karen's book, and that is Hope in the Darkness 828. And that
Hmm.
is a book on grief, both Karen and Rick's story of firsthand grief and then subsequent grief of losing family members, and then
Hmm.
also how to deal with it, what to do with it. So many helpful strategies, informational. I mean, it's just like grief 101 and then the beautiful icing of the faith wrapped all around in through under over all the good ways. So I wanted
Hmm.
to, in case somebody hadn't heard her episode before. Okay, yes. Oh my gosh, I definitely don't want to leave that a confusing moment at all.
Thank you.
What is
Yeah.
something you want women to know about men?
Okay, so this is I referenced this early. This is a bit of a funny story, but I think it's a great
Okay.
example. So, um, Karen and I run a support group for families and for husbands and wives, moms and dads that have lost a baby. And we've experienced a lot of different personalities and different things that have come up. And one of the sections that we talk about, there's a session on men and women and how we grieve things differently, right? And grieve differently, excuse me. And so it was very early in this particular session, and mom looked at dad and said, "What are you thinking about?" And
Oh.
he looked at her and said, "Nothing." And he meant it. And she went, "What? You're not thinking about anything?" Nope. I'm no, I'm not thinking about anything. And the guys cracked up, the other guys in the group, and the women were like, "What are you talking about?" So, ladies, sometimes men literally don't think about anything. They're just sitting there. And it's totally different than women because there's 17 things going on in 1 millisecond about all the different things that women think about 100% of the time. But guys, we can we can just be looking outside and the sky's blue. Isn't that nice? And sometimes that's the way it is.
I
So
like that. And I like
it's
that you had a story there to just kind of
yeah,
illustrate it. That's fabulous. That's
yeah, it
good.
was really very funny to watch the reaction
And it's so
because
funny because, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, as women, I think we like go fishing, like we it's kind of our way of sort of exploring without coming right out and saying, I'm thinking this, or I'm feeling this. What do you think about it? Or what do you know what I mean? It's like a little fishing thing.
Yeah.
Don't know why we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just kind of a armchair thing here. Truly, women are just fantastic because they think about so many things. It's just the way God built you guys. And sometimes we are just so simple. Guys are just really simple, and um, that could cause some friction in a relationship because, the guy's sitting outside looking at something and enjoying it, and there's a checklist. Now, in our relationship, Karen has understood that I am pretty numb right after I wake up. And it's not I have to have a cup of coffee. It's just things are moving a little slow. So, in the past, she would ask me questions about things that were going to happen, in 3 weeks. And I have no idea what she's talking about. Not that we hadn't talked about it, it's just not there.
Not
So
right now.
she has learned to talk about important things or dates or plans or something like that down the road, not in the morning.
Later.
So
Well,
there you go.
I can actually relate to your side. I mean, again, I don't, it's not, I need coffee. I don't even drink coffee, but it just takes a little while to get everything just where I can start comprehending
Right.
information and answering questions and any of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so funny. We're all different.
And and it doesn't mean we don't care. I mean, if
Exactly.
we're just sitting there and the sky's blue and we're not thinking about anything at all, it doesn't mean we don't care.
Right.
We're just not thinking about
Right.
it.
Exactly. Oh, that's so good. What advice would you give to a son about becoming a man?
um, when Ryan was young, um, our son,
Hmm.
we tried to instill, or as dad, I tried to instill a a set of values for him that came from my family history, um, came from personal experience, but also, frankly, came from Christ as well.
Hmm.
And being able to get him exposed and I'll say rooted in some of the values that Karen and I felt strongly about. Um, it's a responsibility as a dad, especially a follower of Christ, to do that with their son.
Hmm.
But even without that faith element, respecting women, if you say you're gonna do it, do it. There are people that know more about things than you do, whether you like it or not, and that's true for anybody at any age. There are people that are. There's always going to be somebody that is smarter than you, knows more than you, has a skill set you wish you had. That's always out there.
Right.
But comparing yourself to others is a little bit of a trap sometimes. So trying to root him in that as well. So beyond just the basic social responsibilities that we have, but as a young man, here's what really you need to demonstrate when you're around other people. And I think he turned out pretty good. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, he
So,
did. He sure
but
did.
you know, so also I've been a coach for his little league teams for a long time. Um, I'm still involved with high school baseball at a coaching level. So I see a lot of young men, and um, I am conscious myself of how I carry myself in a leadership role as a coach, and try to do my best to follow, um, a set of guidelines when I'm around young men that I want to maintain because I'd like them to um, be around, yeah, and the guy I coach with is the same, right? So in terms of it's not just what you say, it's not just how you say it, it's what you do when you're saying things is really important. And I think that's part of becoming a man as well.
Wow. God, I think you should write a book.
Yeah, I know somebody that can.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. I want to really get that point. It's not just what you say or how you say it, but then what was that last part?
It's what you do when
It's
you're
what
saying
you
it.
do.
Yeah. It's what you do when you say it and it's what you do after you say it, right? So for
Yes.
instance, we've got a rule on the teams that we coach on the baseball field. We don't accept profanity at all, right? I mean, that's the baseball field's not part of it. If you use it in class or at home or whatever, that's up to you. But you're representing your school, you're representing your teammates, you're representing your family, and profanity just doesn't and it doesn't respect the game. So
God,
um,
so good.
and and when somebody uses profanity, they hear about it. It would be like it, it's not what you say or how you say it, it's what you do after you say it, right?
Right.
So if I'm letting somebody know that profanity is unacceptable, it would be dumb for me to use a profanity in that comment. Right? So I mean, I choose not to use profanity ever, but that's what I'm talking about,
Right.
right?
Yes.
You
It's not
can't,
one set of rules for here and another set for here.
yeah, you can't be all toasted up about, angry about something and turn around and do the same thing while you're reprimanding somebody. It doesn't
Right.
mix. So
Uh,
yeah,
I wish we had more of that right now. I really do. I
yeah,
just feel like it's a slippery slope and we've really slid a long way.
yeah, yeah. Well, this happened not too long ago. I was grabbing some lunch around the corner, and there was these kids from a high school, not the one that I was coaching at, but a local high school. And I was sitting outside, having my lunch, and these guys were just using horrible language. And I'm not a prude. I grew up on a baseball field. I played
Right.
Division I college baseball. I've heard everything under the sun, for gosh sakes, right? So it's not like, I'd never heard anything. But I said, guys, you know what? I said it to, there's like four guys. I said, you know what? I came here to have a nice lunch and I have to move because of your language. And, and because I can't stand it. And I said, I'll bet, and they were wearing, were football players. And I said, and I bet you your coach told you at the beginning of the season that anytime you're in public, you represent the team, you're representing the high school, and don't blow it when you're out in public and respect your teammates. And they looked at me like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I said, you're doing a really poor job of that. Shake yourself, check yourself, and check each other. And I walked away.
Good for you. I love
So
that.
yeah, so I think we might have a responsibility if to stand up for yourself and they knew I was upset about it, but maybe I don't know whatever happened, but somebody needs to say
And in
something
some way,
sometimes.
it almost doesn't matter in the sense that obviously you have no control over what they do from there on,
Yeah,
but that you took a moment to share, a value that you have and that, that they had sort of crossed a line of being out in public.
hmm,
And you're right. Hearing all of that, you're like, ah.
yeah. I mean, having to get up and move. I could have stayed there. Food was good. I didn't have to get anywhere, but I couldn't hang anymore, and they needed to know it. It was
But
their fault.
it's that, and it reminds me of that. I don't know who first said it, but silence is endorsement. Because if you
Mm,
don't say
mm,
something, you're endorsing
yeah.
it. So sometimes just the simple, and you did it in such a way of integrity. You just said, "Hey, here's what's happening. Here's what I'm thinking. I got to move." Da 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 da. And you didn't like rip them a new one because then they would have just went, they
Yeah.
just wouldn't have. It wouldn't have had any much impact. But the way you did it, you actually did it respectfully.
Hmm. Tried to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Is there anything in conclusion? Is there anything you feel like you didn't get to say that you wanted to say?
I no, I think I covered most of it. Going back, I'm thinking about that question. Um, going back to our son too. Integrity is a big thing. Do what you say you're going to do. That's easy to say, but integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And um, that's something that Karen and I really try to instill in all of our kids, right?
Yes.
And that's an important that's another important trait of a good person, solid
Right.
person. It doesn't have to be man or woman.
Right.
Integrity is really, really important. And sometimes it's not easy to stay there. You have to make some difficult decisions
And
to
it's a
stay.
sacrifice sometimes
It
to
is.
stay
Yeah.
there. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And yet
Yeah.
it feels good on the other end, even when you're like, oh, but I missed out on that. But then later you're like, but I feel good about the
Yeah.
decision I made.
Right. Right.
Okay, where can people find you if you want to be found?
828hope.com is our website for our nonprofit, and you can reach me through there for sure. I'm also on LinkedIn if you want to check me out on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and
Okay.
either way is fine. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Wow, this has been so wonderful
It's been
having you
great spending time
on,
with you.
Rick. We get
Yeah,
to catch up a little and connect.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I very much appreciate the man you've become. I mean, I've had the pleasure and the honor of kind of dipping in and out through different parts of your life, and it is a really beautiful thing to see what an excellent man you've become,
Oh, that's sweet of you to
a man
say.
of honor, a man of honor, and honor
Mm,
is not a word we hear much about anymore. I think we should kind of bring it back, not just for the
mm.
sake of the word, but for what it is and what it means. So thank you for being that.
Oh, it's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I hope to see you soon.